Awesome. There we go. Hi, YouTube. Hello, hello. Oh, Sean, thank you for popping that link in chat. Let me pin that there. Buddha on the YouTube says, your mom. Thank you, Buddha. So, it's that level of intellectualism that keeps me coming back to read these books to you guys. It's these really just these deep conversations, the fact that we can really sink our teeth into the literature. It makes me appreciate you guys so much as a community. Alright. What a guy. Alright. Oh, let's get that posted also in the other YouTube chat. Fidge, don't encourage him. Don't encourage him. You're supposed to be helping. Okay, now it is pinned in all of the chats, the link to the book if you'd like to read along. For those who are over on Twitch. Hi Zen, good to see you. We are also live on YouTube. Is the chat for vertical and horizontal streams integrated now? No. So YouTube does have that capability now, but it comes with downsides. So we're still doing it the other way, where the horizontal and vertical streams are separate. It is possible to combine the chats, but it has downsides that go along with it, so ultimately we decided not to do it that way. Encouraging is helping. Encouraging the wrong person, though. Never encourage Buddha. Yes. Thank you, Zen, for popping those links in chat. You guys, we are live over on YouTube using the first link. And it is so freaking helpful if anyone is able to watch the stream from over there, because that helps with building up watch hours, which is such a big deal. So, if any of you are able to do that, you have my most massive and sincere appreciation. Hi, Tiana. Hello. Welcome. Let me switch over to multi-chat as well. Some citizen, you'll lurk in here for a bit before you go bed. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Hi, Tiana. Oh. That's I don't even know what, how to read that, but... Alright. You made it to both? Thank you, Duke. Oh my goodness. Hi, Tin Pot. Hello. I don't know what to do with it. Yeah. Does that ever happen to you guys where someone says something and it's not an insult to you, but you feel like they mean it as an insult, so then you're not sure how to take it because it's not actually something you find insulting, but you feel like it was meant to be insulting? I don't know. What is that vibe? Yilfrin, hello. All the time. Yeah. The chats are no longer integrated. Oh, they were for a little bit? Okay. Hi, Yilfrin. I'm doing okay. Please don't call me baby, but it's awesome to have everyone here. Red Sea, oh my god, thank you for the 2,000 biddies. Red Sea. You were here earlier, but we're lurking because you were working out. Hell yeah. You've been attempting Brad Pitt's workout regime for Troy. Bro. That must be a pretty intense workout. You didn't mean anything? Okay. Alright. That's cool. Don't forget the yeah, he probably was on a little something, but you don't need that. You don't need that. Okay, let me say, to anyone who is new here, hello, I'm Faolkor the Book Dragon. I'm primarily a Twitch streamer. What company headphones? These are Sennheiser. I've been streaming over on Twitch for over 3 years now, reading books and doing ASMR. We just started here on YouTube in November, so pretty new over here, but we are multi-streaming. And yeah, it's been an experience so far. We're still kind of getting used to it, but it is so awesome to have you all here. We have been reading the Odyssey, and I am really enjoying it so far. We are reading the translation by Samuel Butler. It is one of the translations in the public domain. Only Samuel Butler decided to use the Roman names. We're using the Greek names. But other than that, if you would like to follow along, all of the chats, no matter which chat you're in, should have a pinned comment where you can download or open this translation through Project Gutenberg for absolutely free. Oh, thank you, Tiana. Thank you. You used to have Sennheiser? Switched over to Logitech because you want to try out wireless. These ones do wireless as well, but which, like, I use them Bluetooth if I'm just like hooked up to my phone or whatever listening to music, but for streaming I've got them plugged right into the Focusrite. So yeah. Hi Naren. Hi Paulo. Welcome. They're expensive. What, the Sennheisers? These were like it was like a Cyber Monday sale, and they were like the last year's version that was like being phased out, so they were like very on sale. Yeah. Otherwise I would not have gotten them. But they were very comfortable. You had a couple of earbuds break early and haven't gone back. Oh, damn. I've never used any of their earbuds. Where am I from? I am from the west coast of Canada. Yeah. Okay. So, let's do a little recap. We're about to start book 16 of the Odyssey, aka chapter 16. If you would like to catch up later on any of the previous chapters, they are all in a playlist on my YouTube channel. They are unedited, so all the, live stream chit chat is in them, but I have added timestamps, chapter markers in there, so a little easier to navigate. Roman, Greek, tomato. We chose to go with the Greek names, even though Samuel Butler went with the Roman names. Yeah. Your last pair of Sennheisers lasted 12 years? But the Epos gaming line is garbage. Okay. Was that you or someone else that said that recently? Yeah, these are the Momentum line? I don't know. I'm not enough of an audiophile to really talk about it. Okay, so this is huge because Odysseus has made it back to Ithaca after like coming up on 20 years, right? It's been a long time. He makes it back, but Ithaca is, well, his home is kind of in shambles because all of the suitors want to marry his wife. They think he's dead, and if he's not, well, then they would probably make sure he is. So Athena comes to him and says, look, you can't just go back up to your house. The suitors are going to kill you because they've invested a lot of slumming over the years. They have sat on their asses for years now, pigging out, drinking all your wine, lazing about, and otherwise not working on themselves or their lives for the chance to win, marry your wife. So if you go, they're going to kill you. So let me disguise you with magic as a hideous old man. You go hang out with the swineherd and pretend to be this old man. So Odysseus does that. The swineherd, to his credit, is a really upstanding man, very kind, very welcoming. Odysseus is either the best or the worst liar ever. He just, like, he can't keep it simple. He is just rattling on, and then he keeps, like, making himself more and more exceptional in his stories. Like, and his whole, like, first story, he's like, oh yeah, no, I've heard of Odysseus. Like, don't give up hope, your master's coming home. And then he, like, ends up telling a story where he's pretending that he, as this fictional character, was, like, fighting shoulder to shoulder with Odysseus at Troy. Like, it's just, he loves to brag. And meanwhile, Telemachus was visiting Menelaus. And Athena goes to him and says, you gotta get home. By the way, some of the suitors are lying in wait, trying to kill you on your way back, so, like, avoid the islands, get home to Ithaca, or else the suitors are gonna, you know, eat you out of house and home. And so he goes, leaves his friend Pisistratus, and then some other guy comes up to him on the ship and was like, hey, I'm on the run because I killed a man. Can I hitch a ride? And Telemachus, without asking any questions, is like, sure, hop aboard. Come home with me. I don't know. Telemachus. Like, I know you grew up without your dad, but use some common sense. Anyways, Telemachus has now made it back, but Athena gave him advice, pull in kind of sneaky, get off the ship, and then have the rest of the crew kind of sail around to the main port. But you sneak up to the swineherd's hut. So Telemachus is going there. So we're going to get this meeting of father and son. Like, Odysseus left when Telemachus was a baby. They're finally going to be meeting after around 20 years. Except for Odysseus is disguised as a stinky old man. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. He's looking for Mayo. He might be. All right. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, frog. Book 16. Odysseus reveals himself to Telemachus. Oh yeah, I need to make the frog counter. Jeez. Okay. Meanwhile, Odysseus... Oh wait, I need to turn down the fireplace crackling while I read. Oh, now it sounds very quiet. Sorry, guys. I've had it off for the other readings, so I feel like I should be consistent. Okay. Thanks, Fidge. What Fidge says. Yeah. Okay. Meanwhile, Odysseus and the swineherd had lit a fire in the hut and were getting breakfast ready at daybreak, for they had sent the men out with the pigs. When Telemachus came up, the dogs did not bark, but fawned upon him. So Odysseus, hearing the sound of feet and noticing that the dogs did not bark, said to Eumaeus. Now remember, Odysseus is an old man here. He's been transformed into an old man. Eumaeus, I hear footsteps. I suppose one of your men or some one of your acquaintances coming here, for the dogs are fawning upon him and not barking. The words were hardly out of his mouth before his son stood at the door. Eumaeus sprang to his feet, and the bowls in which he was mixing wine fell from his hands as he made towards his master. He kissed his head and both his beautiful eyes, and wept for joy. A father could not be more delighted at the return of an only son, the child of his old age, after 10 years' absence in a foreign country, and after having gone through much hardship. He embraced him, kissed him all over as though he had come back from the dead, and spoke fondly to him. Wait, this is Eumaeus doing this, right? Yeah, okay. And spoke fondly to him, saying, "So you are come, Telemachus, light of my eyes that you are. When I heard you had gone to Pylos, I made sure I was never going to see you any more. Oh, come in, my dear child, and sit down, that I may have a good look at you now you are home again. It is not very often you come into the country to see us herdsmen. Oh, you stick pretty close to the town generally. I suppose you think it better to keep an eye on what the suitors are doing." "So be it, old friend," answered Telemachus. But I am come now because I want to see you, and to learn whether my mother is still at her old home, or whether someone else has married her, so that the bed of Odysseus is without bedding and covered with cobwebs." "She is still at the house," replied Eumaeus, "grieving and breaking her heart, and doing nothing but weep both night and day continually." Dwayne, thank you for the follow. Brancolis, if I don't know what that means, Dwayne, but hello, welcome to chat. Oh, okay. Thanks, bitch. As he spoke, he took Telemachus's spear, whereon he crossed the stone threshold and came inside. Odysseus rose from his seat to give him place as he entered, but Telemachus checked him. "Sit down, stranger," said he. "I can easily find another seat, and there is one here who will lay it for me." Odysseus went back to his own place, and Eumaeus strewed some green brushwood on the floor and threw a sheepskin on top of it for Telemachus to sit upon. Then the swineherd brought them platters of cold meat, the remains from what they had eaten the day before, and he filled the bread baskets with bread as fast as he could. He mixed wine also in bowls of ivy wood and took his seat facing Odysseus. Then they laid their hands on the good things that were before them, and as soon as they had had enough to eat and drink, Telemachus said to Eumaeus, "Old friend, where does this stranger come from? How did his crew bring him to Ithaca? And who were they? For assuredly he did not come here by land." Okay, he's doing the weird thing now where he talks to the reader as if they're the swineherd. Oh, I appreciate it, Fidge. I don't know what it meant, but I trust you, Fidge. Yeah, I think they think it's really funny. Obviously, you didn't get here by land. To this you answered, "O swineherd Eumaeus, my son, I will tell you the real truth. He says he is a Cretan, and that he has been a great traveler. At this moment he is running away from a Thesprotian ship, and has taken refuge at my station. So I will put him into your hands. Do whatever you like with him, only remember that he is your suppliant." "I'm very much distressed," said Telemachus, "by what you have just told me. How can I take this stranger into my house? I am as yet young, and am not strong enough to hold my own if any man attacks me. My mother cannot make up her mind whether to stay where she is and look after the house out of respect for public opinion and the memory of her husband, or whether the time is now come for her to take the best man of those who are wooing her, and the one who will make her the most advantageous offer. Still, as the stranger is come to your station, I will find him a cloak and shirt of good wear, with a sword and sandals, and will send him wherever he wants to go. Or, if you like, you can keep him here at the station, and I will send him clothes and food, that he may be no burden on you and your men. But I will not have him go near the suitors, that they are very insolent, and are sure to ill-treat him in a way that would greatly grieve me. No matter how valiant a man may be, he can do nothing against numbers, for they will be too strong for him." Then Odysseus said, "Sir, it is right that I should say something myself. I am much shocked about what you have said about the insolent way in which the suitors are behaving, in spite of such a man as you are. Tell me, do you submit to such treatment tamely, or has some god set your people against you? May you not complain of your brothers, for it is to these that a man may look for support, however great his quarrel may be. I wish I were as young as you are, and in my present mind, if I were son to Odysseus, or, indeed, Odysseus himself, I would rather someone came and cut my head off. But I would go to the house and be the bane of every one of these men. If they were too many for me, I being single-handed, I would rather die fighting in my own house than see such disgraceful sights day after day, strangers grossly maltreated, and men dragging the women servants about the house in an unseemly way, wine drawn recklessly, and bread wasted all to no purpose for an end that shall never be accomplished." And Telemachus answered, "I will tell you truly everything. There is no enmity between me and my people, nor can I complain of brothers, to whom a man may look for support, however great his quarrel may be. Zeus has made us a race of only sons. Laertes was the only son of Arcesius, and Odysseus the only son of Laertes. I am myself the only son of Odysseus, who left me behind when he went away, so that I have never been of any use to him. Hence it comes that my house is in the hands of numberless marauders. For the chiefs of all the neighboring islands, Dulichium, Same, Zacynthus, as also all the principal men of Ithaca itself, are eating up my house under the pretext of paying court to my mother, who will neither say point blank that she will not marry, nor yet bring matters to an end. So they are making havoc of my estates, and before long will do so with myself into the bargain." Raiders, hello raiders. Oh my goodness, welcome in everyone. Hi Nexus. Welcome in everyone. Numberless marauders. Welcome in. How was your stream tonight? You guys make sure you are dropping a follow for Black Dragon Tavern Gaming, who also does reading and storytelling over there. It is a lovely vibe. Make sure to check them out. Hey Maddie. Welcome back everyone. We are continuing on with our read of the Odyssey, and father and son are reunited, only Odysseus is transfigured into a stinky old man. Hi Cormac, hello. Also, Julie, thank you for the sub over on YouTube. Thank you. How are you guys doing? I feel like Odysseus is gonna, tell a lot of very implausible stories again. So if I were Odysseus, he can't help himself. You're creeping up on some incredible stuff for tavern events? Heck yeah, that's great. Well, feel free to get cozy. Castle, if you need to raid and run, totally fine. But yeah, thank you so much for bringing the tavern over here to join us for story time. I really appreciate it. You're writing your third book. Oh my god, Maddie. Wait, are you done your second book now? That's very exciting. Congrats. All right. You'll be staying while you work? Heck yeah. Sounds good. All right, this is Telemachus talking to Odysseus, but he doesn't know it's Odysseus. You finished draft 1 of book 2. That's so exciting, Maddie. Congratulations. That's awesome. Okay. The issue, however, rests with heaven. But do you, old friend Eumaeus, go at once and tell Penelope that I am safe and have returned from Pylos. Tell it to herself alone, and then come back here without letting anyone else know, for there are many who are plotting mischief against me. I understand and heed you, replied Eumaeus. You need instruct me no further. Only as I am going that way, say whether I had not better let poor Laertes know that you are returned. He used to superintend the work on his farm in spite of his bitter sorrow about Odysseus, and he would eat and drink at will along with his servants. But they tell me that from the day on which you set out for Pylos, he has neither eaten nor drunk as he ought to do, nor does he look after his farm, but sits weeping and wasting the flesh from off his bones. More's the pity, answered Telemachus. I am sorry for him, but we must leave him to himself just now. If people could have everything their way, but the first thing I should choose would be the return of my father. But go, and give your message, then make haste back again, and do not turn out of your way to tell Laertes. Tell my mother, and send one of her women secretly with the news at once, and let him hear it from her. Thus did he urge the swineherd. Eumaeus, therefore, took his sandals, bound them to his feet, and started for the town. Athena watched him well off the station, and then came to it in the form of a woman. Fair, stately, and wise, she stood against the side of the entry and revealed herself to Odysseus. But Telemachus could not see her, and knew not that she was there, for the gods do not let themselves be seen by everybody. Odysseus saw her, and so did the dogs, for they did not bark, but went scared and whining off to the other side of the yards. She nodded her head and motioned to Odysseus with her eyebrows, whereon he left the hut and stood before her outside the main wall of the yards. Then she said to him, Odysseus, noble son of Laertes, it is now time for you to tell your son. Do not keep him in the dark any longer, but lay your plans for the destruction of the suitors, and then make for the town. I will not be long in joining you, for I, too, am eager for the fray. As she spoke, she touched him with her golden wand. First, she threw a fair, clean shirt and cloak about his shoulders. Then she made him younger and of more imposing presence. She gave him back his color, filled out his cheeks, and let his beard become dark again. Then she went away, and Odysseus came back inside the hut. His son was astounded when he saw him, and turned his eyes away for fear he might be looking upon a god. Stranger, said he, how suddenly you have changed from what you were a moment or two ago. You are dressed differently, and your color is not the same. Are you someone or other of the gods that live in heaven? If so, be propitious to me till I can make you due sacrifice and offerings of wrought gold. Have mercy upon me. And Odysseus said, I am no god. Why should you take me for one? I am your father, on whose account you grieve and suffer so much at the hands of lawless men. As he spoke, he kissed his son, and a tear fell from his cheek onto the ground, for he had restrained all tears till now. But Telemachus could not yet believe that it was his father, and said, "You are not my father, but some god is flattering me with vain hopes that I may grieve the more hereafter. No mortal man could have himself contrived to do as you have been doing, and make yourself old and young at a moment's notice, unless a god were with him. A second ago you were old and all in rags. Now you are like some god come down from heaven." Odysseus answered, "Telemachus, you ought not to be so immeasurably astonished at my being really here. There is no other Odysseus who will come hereafter. Such as I am, it is I, who after long wandering and much hardship have got home in the 20th year to my own country. What you wonder at is the work of the redoubtable goddess Athena, who does with me whatever she will, for she can do what she pleases. And one moment she makes me like a beggar, and the next I am a young man with good clothes on my back. It is an easy matter for the gods who live in heaven to make any man look either rich or poor." As he spoke, he sat down, and Telemachus threw his arms about his father and wept. They were both so much moved that they cried aloud, like eagles or vultures with crooked talons that have been robbed of their half-fledged young by peasants. Damn, okay, that's not, so they're not crying prettily. They are ugly crying together. I love that for them. Thus piteously did they weep, and the sun would have gone down upon their mourning if Telemachus had not suddenly said, "In what ship, my dear father, did your crew bring you to Ithaca? Of what nation did they declare themselves to be? For you cannot have come by land." "I will tell you the truth, my son," replied Odysseus. "It was the Phaeacians who brought me here. They are great sailors, and are in the habit of giving escorts to anyone who reaches their coasts. They took me over the sea while I was fast asleep, and landed me in Ithaca, after giving me many presents in bronze, gold, and raiment. These things, by heaven's mercy, are lying concealed in a cave, and I am now come here on the suggestion of Athena, that we may consult about killing our enemies. First, therefore, give me a list of the suitors, with their number, that I may learn who and how many they are. I can then turn the matter over in my mind, and see whether we too can fight the whole body of them ourselves, or whether we must find others to help us." To this, Telemachus answered, "Father, I've always heard of your renown, both in the field and in council, but the task you talk of is a very great one. I am awed at the mere thought of it. 2 men cannot stand against many and brave ones. There are not 10 suitors only, nor twice 10, but 10 many times over. You shall learn their number at once. There are 52 chosen youths from Dulichium, and they have 6 servants. From Sami there are 24, 20 young Achaeans from Zacynthus, and 12 from Ithaca itself, all of them well born. They have with them a servant, Medon, a bard, and 2 men who can carve at table. If we face such numbers as this, you may have better cause to rue your coming and your revenge. See whether you cannot think of someone who would be willing to come and help us." That's crazy that, like, he can't just go home and be like, "I live here, this is my wife and my home, get out." Like, is it like they would just kill him, I guess? But, like, is there no law there? You know, like, anyway. Possession is 9/10 of the law. Yeah. Okay. Don't talk about my frogs. Every time I take a sip of something, man, it's because I'm so heavy-handed with the frogs in my potion recipes. They'd have nothing but his word and Telemachus. Yeah. I mean, surely some of the men would remember what Odysseus looks like, right? Or, like, Athena could show up. I don't know. The gods in these stories, they really like doing little tiny bits of help and then being like, okay, figure the next bit out yourself. And then they just scarp her off for a bit and then they come back and, like, you know, put another spell on you. Potions taste better with frogs. We get it. They do. Man, that is what really gives it some kick. A little bit of hop to it. So it makes it a good, like, energy drink. Put some hop in your step. Get him drunk and slaughter him. That's a good idea. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Listen to me, replied Odysseus, and think whether Athena and her father Zeus may seem sufficient, or whether I am to try and find someone else as well. Those whom you have named, answered Telemachus, are a couple of good allies, for though they dwell high up among the clouds, they have power over both gods and men. These two, continued Odysseus, will not keep long out of the fray, when the suitors and we join fight in my house. Now, therefore, return home early tomorrow morning, and go about among the suitors as before. Later on, the swineherd will bring me to the city, disguised as a miserable old beggar. If you see them ill-treating me, steel your heart against my sufferings. Even though they drag me, feet foremost, out of the house or throw things at me, look on and do nothing beyond gently trying to make them behave more reasonably. But they will not listen to you, for the day of their reckoning is at hand. Furthermore, I say, and lay my saying to your heart, when Athena shall put it in my mind, I will nod my head to you. And on seeing me do this, you must collect all the armor that is in the house and hide it in the strong storeroom. Make some excuse when the suitors ask you why you are removing it. Say that you have taken it to be out of the way of the smoke, inasmuch as it is no longer what it was when Odysseus went away, but has become soiled and begrimed with soot. Add to this more particularly that you are afraid Zeus may set them on to quarrel over their wine, and that they may do each other some harm, which may disgrace both banquet and wooing, for the sight of arms sometimes tempts people to use them. But leave a sword and a spear apiece for yourself and me, and a couple of oxhide shields, so that we can snatch them up at any moment. Zeus and Athena will then soon quiet these people. There is also another matter. If you are indeed my son, and my blood runs in your veins, let no one know that Odysseus is within the house. Neither Laertes, nor yet the swineherd, nor any of the servants, nor even Penelope herself. Let you and me exploit the women alone, and let us also make trial of some other of the men servants, to see who is on our side, and whose hand is against us. Hi, Serene, good to see you. Hello. Father, replied, oh, I made him sound like such a little boy there, hold on. Father, Father, replied Telemachus. Papa. You will come to know me by and by, and when you do, we'll find that I can keep your counsel. I do not think, however, the plan you propose will turn out well for either of us. Think it over. It will take us a long time to go the round of the farms and exploit the men, and all the time the suitors will be wasting your estate with impunity and without compunction. Prove the women by all means, to see who are disloyal and who guiltless, but I'm not in favor of going round and trying the men. We can attest that later on, if you really have some sign from Zeus that he will support you. Now make his voice, I mean, he's 20. He's a 20-year-old young man. Thus did they converse, and meanwhile, the ship, which had brought Telemachus and his crew from Pylos, had reached the town of Ithaca. When they had come inside the harbor, they drew the ship onto the land. Their servants came and took their armor from them, and they left all the presents at the house of Clytius. Then they sent a servant to tell Penelope that Telemachus had gone into the country, but had sent the ship to the town to prevent her from being alarmed and made unhappy. This servant and Eumaeus happened to meet when they were both on the same errand of going to tell Penelope. When they reached the house, the servant, Hi, Swash! I just found your channel. I solely judge people off of their ability to voice young men saying father. I'm hooked. There we go. My job has been done. So glad that I meet that approval. Welcome in. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I mean, I will say it's kind of funny. When we first went live on the YouTube vertical stream, we're having some crazy chatters come in. But since I started doing a variety of man voices, they seem to have eased off, right? That's the trick. I just gotta bust. I've got my old man voice, my hot daddy Odysseus voice, and my young 20-year-old twink Telemachus voice. And the swineherd voice. Man. Yeah. Man. That's a crazy thing to say, Tyler. And when I first read it, I thought you were making a testicles joke, you know, like Greek. Testicles. I thought you were saying testicles is dropped, but no, you're just talking about yourself and calling yourself testicle. Welcome back, Tyler. It is about to get nuts. Who doesn't like a solid swineherd? This swineherd is so solid. I really like him. He's just a good guy. Hi, Ritzy. Ritzy, thank you for that 7-stream streak. And the goblin noises. The unfortunate placement having goblin noises between Tyler saying testicles dropped in and it's about to get nuts. The Greek god of the hanging bear. Oh, Swash, thank you for the follow. It's good to have you here. Okay. When they reached the house, the servant stood up and said to the queen in the presence of the waiting woman. Wait, is this the swineherd here? No, it's servant and Eumaeus. Okay. In the presence of the waiting women. Your son, madam, is now returned from Pylos. But Eumaeus went close up to Penelope and said privately all that her son had bidden him tell her. When he had given his message, he left the house with its outbuildings and went back to his pigs again. Oh dear. The suitors were surprised and angry at what had happened. Tyler, that's just a really prominent testicle. it's really, really out there. Okay. The suitors were surprised and angry at what had happened, so they went outside the great wall that ran round the outer court and held a council near the main entrance. Eurymachus, son of Polybus, was the first to speak. Okay, this is the suitor that people think has like the highest chance of marrying Penelope. Yeah. Oh my god, you guys. Oh dear. Okay. My friends, said he, this voyage of Telemachus's is a very serious matter. We had made sure it would come to nothing. Now, however, let us draw a ship into the water and get a crew together to send after the others and tell them to come back as fast as they can. He had hardly done speaking when Amphinomus turned in his place and saw the ship inside the harbor, with the crew lowering her sails and putting by their oars. So he laughed and said to the others, We need not send them any message, for they are here. Some god must have told them, or else they saw the ship go by and could not overtake her. On this they rose and went to the waterside. The crew then drew the ship on shore. Their servants took their armor from them, and they went up in a body to the place of assembly. But they would not let anyone, old or young, sit along with them, and Antinous, son of Eupiathes, spoke first. Good heavens, said he, see how the gods have saved this man from destruction. We kept a succession of scouts upon the headlands all day long, and when the sun was down we never went on shore to sleep, but waited in the ship all night till morning, in the hope of capturing and killing him. Some god has conveyed him home in spite of us. Let us consider how we can make an end of him. Lockdown. Hi, Lockdown. Thank you so much for choosing to use your Prime here. Oh my goodness. Thank you, thank you. Hi, Shay. Hello, hello. I'm just gonna move this a little bit. There we go. Yay. I'm doing alright. How are you doing, Lockdown? Thinks a goddess saves him and still wants to kill him. Yep. Yep. Let us consider how we can make an end of him. He must not escape us. Our affair is never likely to come off while he is alive, for he is very shrewd, and public feeling is by no means all on our side. Oh, we must make haste before he can call the Achaeans in assembly. He will lose no time in doing so, for he will be furious with us, and will tell all the world how we plotted to kill him, but failed to take him. The people will not like this when they come to know of it. We must see that they do us no hurt, nor drive us from our own country into exile. Let us try and lay hold of him, either on his farm away from the town, or on the road hither. And then we can divide up his property amongst us, and let his mother and the man who marries her have his house. If this does not please you, and you wish Telemachus to live on and hold his father's property, then we must not gather here and eat up his goods in this way, but must make our offers to Penelope each from his own house, and she can marry the man who will give the most for her, and whose lot it is to win her. They all held their peace until Amphinomus rose to speak. He was the son of Nisus, who was son to King Aretius, and he was foremost among all the suitors from the wheat-growing and well-grassed island of Dulichium. His conversation, moreover, was more agreeable to Penelope than that of any of the other suitors, for he was a man of good natural disposition. "My friends," said he, speaking to them plainly and in all honesty, "I am not in favor of killing Telemachus. It is a heinous thing to kill one who is of noble blood. Let us first take counsel of the gods, and if the oracles of Zeus advise it, I will both help to kill him myself and will urge everybody else to do so. But if they dissuade us, I would have you hold your hands." Thus did he speak, and his words pleased them well. So they rose forthwith and went to the house of Odysseus, where they took their accustomed seats. It's crazy to be talking about wanting to marry Penelope and whether they should murder her son first. Killing someone not of noble blood? Pfft. You always make more peasants, right? I don't think they really care whether Penelope likes them or not. I don't really think it's about Penelope. Nobody really seems to actually be thinking about Penelope. Even Odysseus, he's all like, I want to get back to my land. And like sometimes he's thought about his son, but then he's like, sure, I'll stay here for a year and bang this woman. Sure, I'll bang that woman. And like, he hasn't really thought about Penelope a lot. Athena called him out on it too, yeah. You're thinking about Penelope? Yeah, poor Penelope. Yeah, he never asked after her. Poor Penelope. Okay. Then Penelope resolved that she would show herself to the suitors. She knew of the plot against Telemachus, for the servant Medon had overheard their counsels and had told her. She went down therefore to the court, attended by her maidens, and when she reached the suitors, she stood by one of the bearing posts, supporting the roof of the cloister, holding a veil before her face, and rebuked Antinous, saying, "Antinous, insolent and wicked schemer, they say you are the best speaker and counselor of any man your own age in Ithaca, but you are nothing of the kind. Madman, why should sorry, that was so loud. Why should you try to compass the death of Telemachus, and take no heed of suppliants whose witness is Zeus himself? Is it not right for you to plot thus against It is not right for you to plot thus against one another. Do you not remember how your father fled to this house in fear of the people, who were enraged against him for having gone with some Taphian pirates and plundered the Thesprotians who were at peace with us? They wanted to tear him in pieces and eat up everything he had, but Odysseus stayed their hands, although they were infuriated. And now you devour his property without paying for it, and break my heart by wooing his wife and trying to kill his son. Leave off doing so, and stop the others also." Look, nothing she said there was wrong, but haven't they been doing this for years? Is this the first time that she's said this to them? I feel like it is, because it talks about how she's like kind of been leading them on up till now. And like, you should have just said this a long time ago. Probably not decades, like Odysseus has been gone 20 years. I doubt the suitors moved in immediately. Like, potentially they waited until the war was over, and then when Odysseus didn't come right back home, at that point they start assuming that he's dead. You think it was a day later? I mean, I'm sure some were sniffing around the goods. But yeah, it has been years. It has been years. Yeah. Okay. To this, Eurymachus, son of Polybus, answered, "Take heart, Queen Penelope, daughter of Icarius, and do not trouble yourself about these matters. The man is not yet born, nor never will be, who shall lay hands upon your son Telemachus, while I yet live to look upon the face of the earth. I say, and it shall surely be, that my spear will be reddened with his blood, for many a time has Odysseus taken me upon his knees. For many a time has Odysseus taken me on his knees, held wine up to my lips to drink, and put pieces of meat into my hands. What? Wow. I didn't know it was like that. Okay. The fact that he's on his lap, I have to imagine that he's talking, maybe he's a lot younger. That makes him a lot younger than Odysseus. But then Odysseus is like giving him, I guess kids in ancient Greek times drank wine, right? Everyone drank wine. Does that make it better? I don't know. Okay, let me read that again. Keep my shit together. For many a time has Odysseus taken me on his knees, held wine up to my lips to drink, and put pieces of meat into my hands. Therefore, Telemachus is much the dearest friend I have, and has nothing to fear from the hands of us suitors. Of course, if death comes to him from the gods, he cannot escape it. He said this to quiet her, but in reality, he was plotting against Telemachus. Dude, so he's like Telemachus's age. And probably grew up being like kind of friends with Telemachus, and now he's plotting to kill Telemachus so he can bang his mom. Dang. You don't even know what we're reading. It's Greek. How very Greek, yes. Yeah. I laugh. I'm plural. Give me that shirt with this shirt. Isn't it cute? Then Penelope went upstairs again and mourned her husband till Athena shed sleep over her eyes. In the evening, Eumaeus got back to Odysseus and his son, who had just sacrificed a young pig of a year old and were helping one another to get supper ready. Athena therefore came up to Odysseus, turned him into an old man with a stroke of her wand, and clad him in his old clothes again, for fear that the swineherd might recognize him and not keep the secret, but go and tell Penelope. I feel like that's not giving the swineherd enough credit. This dude's amazing. Telemachus was the first to speak. "So you have got back, Eumaeus," said he. "What is the news of the town? Have the suitors returned, or are they still waiting over yonder to take me on my way home?" "Well, I did not think of asking about that," replied Eumaeus. "When I was in town, I thought I would give my message and come back as soon as I could. I met a man sent by those who had gone with you to Pylos, and he was the first to tell the news to your mother. But I can say what I saw with my own eyes. I had just got onto the crest of the hill of Hermes above the town when I saw a ship coming into harbor with a number of men in her. They had many shields and spears, and I thought it was the suitors, but I cannot be sure." On hearing this, Telemachus smiled to his father, so that Eumaeus could not see him. Then, when they had finished their work and the meal was ready, they ate it, and every man had his full share, so that all were satisfied. As soon as they had had enough to eat and drink, they laid down to rest, and enjoyed the boon of sleep. End of chapter. Yay. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Artax, thank you for the 100 biddies. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh man. Well, it's good to have a father and son reunited. Here's the thing you wanted to say. Yeah, what's up? Hi, Violent Carrot. 10 stream streak. 10 of the best streams ever. Aw, Carrot. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying them. Thank you. Your first time eating an apple? What? Right now, Skewer? Like you're eating an apple for the first time in your life right now? What? Hate to listen around, but you gotta get to sleep. Of course, Swash. Of course. It was lovely to meet you. Hope to see you again. Have a wonderful sleep. What kind of apple? Which one did you choose as your first apple? Because that makes a difference. Which one did you choose? I'm absolutely delighted by your stream as well as your community. Aww. Yay. Oh my goodness, they are pretty awesome. A Fuji? Fuji apple? Those are good. I would say best apple is Honeycrisp. Best apple is Honeycrisp. Occasionally, I fuck with a Pink Lady. But Honeycrisp is... And occasionally, hear me out, this is, I know not everyone's gonna feel this way, but the Deliciouses, both red and golden. I know, unpopular, but yeah. What are spitters? Nah, dude, they suck. Nah, dude, you suck. Oh, Milk God, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Yeah, the red look, I get it. They're not actually the best apples. They're kind of mealy, but they look so perfect. They look like a fairy tale apple. Do you know what I mean? The color of them, the shape of them. They look like if you just were doing like set deck for a fairy tale film, you would use Red Delicious. And the aesthetic of them is so good that it kind of makes it worth the fact that it's not the best mouthfeel. They taste fine. It's just they're not as good a mouthfeel. Ithaca is a dinky little island on the western part of Greece. It has almost no farmable land. Nim's blasting off! Because it's half cliffs and half rocky forest, it's a gateway island, so if any warring vessels come from the north of Africa or Western Europe come to attack, they'd be the first to be hit. So there's almost no value except for a decent number of fishing zones. Oh, damn. Carrot! Wait, finally, Carrot! Thank you for gifting us sub to Shade the Bean. Shade the Bean. They taste like someone yelled apple at a potato. Which, I mean, potato in French is pomme de terre, which is apple of the earth. So, you know. You want to dip it in caramel, but you're on a diet. What about like a little bit of peanut butter or almond butter? Artax, thank you for those 100 biddies. Yay! Shay, now you can do the dumpy dance in chat. Dumpy dance. Heck yeah. Aftermath. Hi, Aftermath. Thank you for the 100 videos. Thank you. And Ultrachan ASMR. Hi. Pink Ladies are good. Granny Smiths are really good. Yeah. Yeah. As long as they're like actually like sour and not like some of them are too like bitter, you know? Yeah. Hi, boss man. How are you? You have both of those, but that's too much sodium. Okay, fair enough. Well, if you ended up liking Fuji is a great way to start. Don't even bother with Macintosh. I would say don't really bother with Gala. They taste good, but they get so soft and mealy so easily that it's just like, ugh, like don't even bother with Gala. Fuji is really good though. Hey Banana, what's up? Hi Dweeb, welcome to chat. Any apple that feels the need to call itself delicious is absolutely not. They are rotten to the core and I will unlearn to stand this ground. Honeycrisp is great. Okay, but Dweeb, I hear you. I'm not even disagreeing with you. But do you agree with me that they're beautiful to look at? Sapphire Pisces, hello. The words Granny Smitch. Granny Smitch? Granny Smith apples snapped you back to reality like a sleeper agent. Do you like them? Cosmic Crisps. I forgot about those. Yeah, they're pretty good. This is your first time eating a healthy apple. Oh, you've had like caramel apple or whatever before. Now that you're doing YouTube, I can take you for walks with me in the park and listen? Twitch doesn't let you have me in... Wait, I do that with Twitch. You put it on audio only mode, and then I can turn off my like phone screen altogether and it keeps playing if it's in audio only mode. But anyways, that's awesome. Yay. Hi, Badger Master. You had another bad dream. Oh no. Okay, let's get you back to sleep. We're a little unhinged, but I hope you'll get some good rest. The apple of apples, all look and no depth. I like the way they look. Never in my life did I imagine an apple discussion could turn so heated. Like, a red delicious apple is what the evil queen would like poison before giving to Snow White. And I fuck with that. They look good, but you... Okay, so you admit they look good. And all I'm saying is that I enjoy the way they look so much that I'm willing to put up with the fact that they're not very good to eat. That's all I'm saying. And you can judge me for that. But that's all I'm saying. Penelope is by this time considered an aged woman, probably around early to mid 40s, which is ancient at this time. And the chance of her bearing an heir is slim to none. I mean, she could be like mid 30s. Like, they would get married as teenagers back then, right? So if she was like a teenager and now she has like a 20-year-old son, she could be like mid to late 30s. I don't know. Or, yeah, early 40s maybe. These 20-odd suitors have been sitting in her house courting her, knowing there's nothing of greater value to be gained in terms of land, and having an heir would be impossible, barring a divine boon. Oh, yeah. No, she's probably still young enough to have another child, I imagine. Greek mythology. I thought that was an empire apple. What's an empire apple? Cinnamon is good. Don't put too much on though, skewer, because it'll be so powdery. Yeah. You will judge at least a bit. That's fair, Dweeb. That's totally fair. I don't disagree with you. It's just I really like the way they look. Golden Delicious are pretty good though, right? She's probably hot. She probably is hot. I mean, Odysseus married her, right? And he's like king. I don't know. I feel like she's probably hot. Empire apples are the opposite of vermilion. Okay. No, to be honest, I don't often get to eat apples anymore. I used to eat apples like daily, but too much sugar. There's only one reason why all these men would be here for almost 20 years. Penelope must be drop dead gorgeous. Helen may have been hot enough to launch 1,000 ships, but Penelope is hot enough to keep those ships home. Well, yeah, I like it, but they don't seem to. A lot of people don't really seem to consider her feelings. I don't think they care about her as a person. Spitters are the first apples that have the highest sugar content, but not palatable, so you want to spit it out. They're used in brewing hard cider and are the apples Johnny Appleseed gave out to people. Oh. Like the first apples per season, or the first apples on the first year that a tree bears fruit? I don't know about these. I know about crab apples. I know that crab apples are like the OG wild apple, and that to get a certain kind of apple tree, you don't plant a seed from that kind of apple. You have to take a cutting and graft it onto a different rootstock. And so a lot of trees will use something more like a crabapple rootstock because they're nice and hardy, but then you graft something like a pink lady cutting onto it if you want to grow pink lady apples. But if you just plant seeds, eventually they will revert into crab apples. The common apples we know today come from spitters. They had to cross-pollinate to make this sweeter apple. I guess I don't really understand what this is saying, though, because like crab... I feel like this is really risky to Google the word spitters, but bitter sweets and bitter sharps. They're too astringent. Oh, so they're like crab apples. Sorry, you were saying overly sweet, and that confused me. But no, they're more bitter and astringent. Right. Like crab apples. Okay. Small sour apples. Okay. Yeah. That makes more sense. I was confused by the overly sweet. Like, how can an apple be too sweet kind of thing? But yeah, no. So they're more like sour and tannic. Cool. I've never heard the phrase spitters. Cool. Oh, I love cider. This community is overly sweet. Pretty sweet. Aw, Jonathan. Why? Well, that's very nice. I'm glad you do. Honeycrisp and Cosmic are patented? That makes sense. No, you're pretty sweet. You learned about it when you went through your own and through my own beer phase. Heck yeah. There's some wild types of apple out there. I went to an apple festival once, and they had like, I don't know, over like 70 types of apple there. There was one, this is the wildest apple, I don't remember what it was called, but it had green skin and red flesh. It was like, it looked like a watermelon. I mean, it didn't have a rind or anything, texture of an apple. It was crazy. You had to make your own mead face. Yeah. Okay, you guys, we're gonna read another chapter, right? But you guys, I do have to eat another bite of my protein bar. I'll mute while I'm chewing, but I have to, like, I'm starting to get tummy rumbles before we get into the next chapter. I don't sit on my snacks, Fidge. I don't know where this has started. Wait, is that the one that I was talking about? Crown cake? See, they do exist. I'm missing out on like warm smush snacks. Dang. Alright. Okay. Alright. Oh my god! Badger Master! Oh, Lord. Okay. Alright. I don't know where you guys keep coming up with this crazy, this frankly ludicrous lore. That's wild. So should we read a little bit more? You know? Oh my god, okay, yes. Thank you for all the butts in chat. Just the idea that I'm like nesting on a pile of snacks like some large confused bird. Good night, Buddha. Sleep well. Thank you for hanging out. You don't have a singular butt emote? Wait, you've got the dumpy emote. Dumpy on this channel. Yeah? If you're subbed here. There you go. There you go. Who doesn't like a guinea pig butt? No one. No one. Okay. Book 17. Let me remind you all. Regardless of which chat you're in, there is a pinned comment. And the pinned comment has a link to this book if you would like to follow along with me as I read. Fidge, that's a crazy collection of butts. What? You got some repeats in there, dude. Repeats. You're trying to make your list look longer than it is. For shame. Okay. Aw, Tyra, thank you. It's going okay. How are you doing? Oh, you gotta head out? Okay, Crumb Cake, thank you for hanging out. Have a lovely rest of your day or night, or if you're going to sleep, have a lovely sleep. I hope we see you later. You gotta lurk yourself? Okay, Carrot. Thanks for hanging out. Have a lovely night. Buttressing the numbers. Oh my god. Oh dear. Okay. A reminder to everyone in chat on Twitch that we are also live on YouTube, and if anyone is able to go and drop a lurk over there, you know, or chat over there, whatever you want to do, that really helps with the watch hours. That'd be super helpful. And if anyone has not subbed to my YouTube channels, that would also be freaking amazing. Right? Yeah. Cloud wants you to. She just said so. So, you better do it. Cloud is baby. It's true. Well, there you go. Yeah. You got do it for Cloud. Okay, so we are about to jump into book number 17. Telemachus and his mother meet. Odysseus and Eumaeus come down to the town, and Odysseus is insulted by Melanthius. He is recognized by the dog Argos. He is insulted and presently... Okay, this chapter summary just gives a lot of information. Maybe I won't read the whole thing. It's, that had some spoilers in it. I do not, Badger Master. What the heck? Where is this libel coming from? Okay. When the child of morning, rosy-fingered dawn, appeared, Telemachus bound on his sandals and took a strong spear that suited his hands, for he wanted to go into the city. "Old friend," said he to the swineherd, "I will now go to the town and show myself to my mother, for she will never leave off grieving till she has seen me. As for this unfortunate stranger, take him to the town and let him beg there of anyone who will give him a drink and a piece of bread. I have trouble enough of my own and cannot be burdened with other people. If this makes him angry, so much the worse for him, but I like to say what I mean." Then Odysseus said, "Sir, I do not want to stay here. A beggar can always do better in town than country, for anyone who likes can give him something. I am too old to care about remaining here at the beck and call of a master. Therefore let this man do as you have just told him, and take me to the town as soon as I have had a warm by the fire and the day has got a little heat in it. My clothes are wretchedly thin, and this frosty morning I shall be perished with cold, for you say the city is some way off." On this, Telemachus strode off through the yards, brooding his revenge upon the suitors. When he reached home, he stood his spear against the bearing post of the cloister, crossed the stone floor of the cloister itself, and went inside. Nurse Euryclea saw him long before anyone else did. She was putting the fleeces onto the seats, and she burst out crying as she ran up to him. All the other maids came up too and covered his head and shoulders with their kisses. Penelope came out of her room looking like Artemis or Aphrodite. Oh yeah, she's hot. Bro, they're not gonna say she's looking like Artemis or Aphrodite if she's not hot. Hot, hot, hot. Okay. Penelope came out of her room looking like Artemis or Aphrodite and wept as she flung her arms about her son. She kissed his forehead and both his beautiful eyes. "Light of my eyes," she cried as she spoke fondly to him. "So you are come home again. I made sure I was never going to see you any more. Oh, to think of your having gone off to Pylos without saying anything about it, or obtaining my consent. Oh, but come, tell me what you saw." "Do not scold me, mother," answered Telemachus, "nor vex me, seeing what a narrow escape I have had. But wash your face, change your dress, go upstairs with your maids, and promise full and sufficient hecatombs to all the gods, if Zeus will only grant us our revenge upon the suitors. I must now go to the place of assembly to invite a stranger who has come back with me from Pylos. I sent him on with my crew and told Piraeus to take him home and look after him till I could come for him myself." She heeded her son's words, washed her face, changed her dress, and vowed full and sufficient hecatombs to all the gods, if they would only vouchsafe her revenge upon the suitors. Telemachus went through and out of the cloisters, spear in hand. Not alone, for his 2 fleet dogs went with him. Athena endowed him with a presence of such divine comeliness that all marveled at him as he went by, and the suitors gathered round him with fair words in their mouths and malice in their hearts. But he avoided them and went to sit with Mentor Antiphus, and Halitherses, old friends of his father's house, and they made him tell them all that had happened to him. Then Piraeus came up with the Aclymenus, who had been escorted through the town to the place of assembly, whereon Telemachus at once joined them. Piraeus was the first to speak. Wait, is Piraeus the guy that he picked up? Or is Piraeus one of the dudes from Ithaca? Theoclymenus is the one that he picked up randomly, right? Piraeus was one of his men, I think. Okay. Telemachus, said he, I wish you would send some of your women to my house to take away the presents Menelaus gave you. We do not know, Piraeus, answered Telemachus, what may happen. If the suitors kill me in my own house and divide my property among them, I would rather you had the presents than any of those people should get hold of them. If, on the other hand, I manage to kill them, I shall be much obliged if you will kindly bring me my presents. With these words he took Theoclymenus to his own house. When they got there, they laid their cloaks on the benches and seats, went into the baths, and washed themselves. When the maids had washed and anointed them, and had given them cloaks and shirts, they took their seats at table. A maidservant then brought them water in a beautiful golden ewer, and poured it into a silver basin for them to wash their hands. And she drew a clean table beside them. An upper servant brought them bread, and offered them many good things of what there was in the house. Opposite them sat Penelope, reclining on a couch by one of the bearing posts of the cloister, and spinning. Then they laid their hands on the good things that were before them, and as soon as they had had enough to eat and drink, Penelope said, Telemachus, I shall go upstairs and lie down on that sad couch, which I have not ceased to water with my tears from the day Odysseus set out for Troy with the sons of Atreus. You failed, however, to make it clear to me before the suitors came back to the house whether or no you had been able to hear anything about the return of your father. I will tell you then truth, replied her son. We went to Pylos and saw Nestor, who took me to his house and treated me as hospitably as though I were a son of his own, who had just returned after a long absence. So also did his sons. But he said he had not heard a word from any human being about Odysseus, whether he was alive or dead. The couch is getting moldy, ew. Logan Price, thank you for the follow. Hello, welcome in. He sent me, therefore, with a chariot and horses to Menelaus. There I saw Helen, for whose sake so many, both Argives and Trojans, were in heaven's wisdom doomed to suffer. Menelaus asked me what it was that had brought me to Lacedaemon, and I told him the whole truth, whereon he said, So then these cowards would usurp a brave man's bed? A hind might as well lay her newborn young in the lair of a lion, and then go off to feed in the forest or in some grassy dell. The lion, when he comes back to his lair, will make short work with the pair of them, and so will Odysseus with these suitors. By Father Zeus, Athena, and Apollo, if Odysseus is still the man that he was when he wrestled with Philomelides. Hold on, let me, Philomelides. 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 If Odysseus is still the man that he was when he wrestled with Philomelides in Lesbos, and threw him so heavily that all the Greeks cheered him, if he is still such, and were to come near these suitors, they would have a short shrift and a sorry wedding. Oh. As regards your question, however... Wait, is this still... Oh yeah, this is still supposed to be, these are Menelaus's words. Okay, sorry. As regards your question, however, I will not prevaricate nor deceive you. But what the old man at the sea told me, so much will I tell you in full. He said that he could see Odysseus on an island, sorrowing bitterly in the house of the nymph Calypso, who was keeping him prisoner, and he could not reach his home, for he had no ships nor sailors to take him over the sea. This was what Menelaus told me, and when I heard his story, I came away. The gods then gave me a fair wind, and soon brought me safe home again. With these words, he moved the heart of Penelope. Then Theoclymenus said to her, Madam, wife of Odysseus, Telemachus does not understand these things. Listen, therefore, to me, for I can divine them surely, and will hide nothing from you. May Zeus, the king of heaven, be my witness, and the rites of hospitality, with that hearth of Odysseus to which I now come, that Odysseus himself is even now in Ithaca. Bro, you're wrecking the secret. Oh yeah, this stranger that Telemachus let on board his ship is like a seer? But he's blowing the whole thing here. That Odysseus himself is even now in Ithaca, and either going about the country or staying in one place, is inquiring into all these evil deeds and preparing a day of reckoning for the suitors. Well, I saw an omen when I was on the ship which meant this, and I told Telemachus about it. Not a prophet, but like, I don't know, has some prophesying skills, I guess. I read Pyramid. May it be even so, answered Penelope. If your words come true, you shall have such gifts and such goodwill from me that all who see you shall congratulate you. Thus did they converse. Meanwhile, the suitors were throwing discs or aiming with spears at a mark on the leveled ground in front of the house, and behaving with all their old insolence. But when it was now time for dinner, and the flock of sheep and goats had come into town from all the country round, with their shepherds as usual, then Medon, who was their favourite servant, and who waited upon them at table, said, Now then, my young masters, you've had enough sport, so come inside that we may get dinner ready. Dinner is not a bad thing at dinner time. Well spoken, Medon. That's just mind-blowing wisdom. They left their sports, as he told them, and when they were within the house, they laid their cloaks on the benches and seats inside, and then sacrificed some sheep, goats, pigs, and a heifer, all of them fat and well-grown. Thus they made ready for their meal. In the meantime, Odysseus and the swineherd were about starting for the town, and the swineherd said, Stranger, I suppose you still want to go to town today, as my master said you were to do. For my own part, I should have liked you to stay here, as a station hand. But I must do as my master tells me, or he will scold me later on, and a scolding from one's master is a very serious thing. Let us then be off, for it is now broad day. It will be night again directly, and then you will find it colder. I know and understand you, replied Odysseus. You need say no more. Let us be going, but if you have a stick ready cut, let me have it to walk with, for you say the road is a very rough one. As he spoke, he threw his shabby old tattered wallet over his shoulders by the cord from which it hung, and Eumaeus gave him a stick to his liking. The two then started, leaving the station in charge of the dogs and herdsmen who remained behind. The swineherd led the way, and his master followed after, looking like some broken-down old tramp as he leaned upon his staff. And his dogs, no. His dogs were not in rags. and his clothes were all in rags. When they had got over the rough, steep ground and were nearing the city, they reached the fountain from which the citizens drew their water. This had been made by Ithacus, Naritus, and Polyctor. Polyctor? Polyctor. And Polyctor. There was a grove of water-loving poplars planted in a circle all around it, and the clear, cold water came down to it from a rock high up, while above the fountain there was an altar to the nymphs, at which all wayfarers used to sacrifice. Here, Melanthius, son of Dolius, overtook them as he was driving down some goats, the best in his flock, for the suitors' dinner. And there were 2 shepherds with him. When he saw Eumaeus and Odysseus, he reviled them with outrageous and unseemly language, which made Odysseus very angry. "There you go," cried he, "and a precious pair you are. See how heaven brings birds of the same feather to another. Where, pray, master swineherd, are you taking this poor miserable object? It would make anyone sick to see such a creature at table. A fellow like this never won a prize for anything in his life, but will go about—" Oh no, wait. This is the shepherd saying this. Sorry, I thought this was Odysseus. This is a shepherd saying this. "Well, there you go," cried he, "and a precious pair you are. See how heaven brings birds of the same feather to one another. Where, pray, master swineherd, are you taking this poor miserable object? It would make anyone sick to see such a creature at table. A fellow like this never won a prize for anything in his life, but will go about rubbing his shoulders against every man's doorpost and begging, not for swords and cauldrons like a man, but only for a few scraps not worth begging for. If you would give him to me for a hand at my station, he might do to clean out the folds, or bring a bit of sweet feed to the kids, and he could fatten his thighs as much as he pleased on whey. But he is taken to bad ways, and will not go about any kind of work. He will do nothing but beg victuals all the town over to feed his insatiable belly. I say, therefore, and it shall surely be, if he goes near Odysseus's house, he will get his head broken by the stools they will fling at him, till they turn him out." On this, as he passed, he gave Odysseus a kick on the hip out of pure wantonness. But Odysseus stood firm and did not budge from the path. For a moment he doubted whether or no to fly at Melanthius and kill him with his staff, or fling him to the ground and beat his brains out. He resolved, however, to endure it and keep himself in check. But the swineherd looked straight at Melanthius and rebuked him, lifting up his hands and praying to heaven as he did so. "Fountain nymphs," he cried, "children of Zeus, if ever Odysseus burned you thigh bones covered with fat, whether of lambs or kids, grant my prayer that heaven may send him home. Oh, he would soon put an end to the swaggering threats with which such men as you go about insulting people, gadding all over the town while your flocks are going to ruin through bad shepherding." Then Melanthius the goatherd answered, "You ill-conditioned cur, what are you talking about? Now some day or other I will put you on board ship and take you to a foreign country, where I can sell you and pocket the money you will fetch. I wish I were as sure that Apollo would strike Telemachus dead this very day, or that the suitors would kill him, as I am that Odysseus will never come home again." With this he left them to come on at their leisure, while he went quickly forward and soon reached the house of his master. When he got there, he went in and took his seat among the suitors, opposite Eurymachus, who liked him better than any of the others. The servants brought him a portion of meat, and an upper woman servant set bread before him that he might eat. Presently Odysseus and the swineherd came up to the house, and stood by it, amid a sound of music, for Phemius was just beginning to sing to the suitors. Then Odysseus took hold of the swineherd's hand and said, "Eumaeus, this house of Odysseus is a very fine place. No matter how far you go, you will find few like it. One building keeps following on after another. The outer court has a wall with battlements all round it. The doors are double folding and of good workmanship. It would be a hard matter to take it by force of arms. I perceive, too, that there are many people banqueting within it, for there is a smell of roast meat, and I hear a sound of music, which the gods have made to go along with the feasting." Then Eumaeus said, "You have perceived aright, as indeed you generally do. But let us think what will be our best course. Will you go inside first and join the suitors, leaving me here behind you? Or will you wait here and let me go in first? But do not wait long, or someone may see you loitering about outside and throw something at you. Consider this matter, I pray you." Wait, I thought he was going into town, not to Odysseus' house. And Odysseus answered, "I understand and heed. Go in first and leave me here where I am. I'm quite used to being beaten and having things thrown at me. I have been so much buffeted about in war and by sea that I am case-hardened, and this too may go with the rest. But a man cannot hide away the cravings of a hungry belly. This is an enemy which gives much trouble to all men. It is because of this that ships are fitted out to sail the seas and to make war upon other people." As they were thus talking, a dog that had been lying asleep raised his head and pricked up his ears. This was Argos, whom Odysseus had bred before setting out for Troy, but he had never had any work out of him. In the old days, he used to be taken out by the young men when they went hunting wild goats or deer or hares. But now that his master was gone, he was lying neglected on the heaps of mule and cow dung that lay in front of the stable doors, till the men should come and draw it away to manure the great clothes. He was full of fleas. As soon as he saw Odysseus standing there, he dropped his ears and wagged his tail. But he could not get close up to his master. So how old is this dog? This dog is over 20 years old? Do dogs live that long? Dogs don't live that long. Oh. That's wild. Okay. And was alive long enough before Odysseus left for him to really imprint on Odysseus. Greek years have to be shorter. Maybe. When Odysseus saw the dog on the other side of the yard, he dashed a tear from his eyes without Eumaeus seeing it, and said, "Remind me later." Sorry, that's not what he said. I got an update pop up. Never mind. He dashed a tear from his eye without Eumaeus seeing it, and said, "Eumaeus, what a noble hound that is over yonder on the manure heap. His build is splendid. Is he as fine a fellow as he looks, or is he only one of the dogs that come begging about the table, and are kept merely for show?" "Well, this hound," answered Eumaeus, "belonged to him who has died in a far country. If he were what he was when Odysseus left for Troy, he would soon show you what he could do. There was not a wild beast in the forest that could get away from him when he was once on its tracks. But now he has fallen on evil times, for his master is dead and gone, and the women take no care of him. Servants never do their work when their master's hand is no longer over them, for Zeus takes half the goodness out of a man when he makes a slave of him. As he spoke, he went inside the buildings to the cloister where the suitors were. What? Wait. Hold up. But Argos died? Argos just drops dead? What? What? What the fuck? Why? Because, is it... Oh my god, no, my camera just... Rip camera. Okay, hold on. That's how upset I am about this. That's how upset I am about this. Holy shit. Hold on, I'm coming right back. That's crazy. He sees his master after 20 years and then just instantly dies. Nah. And he's not even right next to him, but he can recognize him from like across the yard. That's... The camera can't handle the sheer emotion. Yeah. That was fucked up. Oh, sorry, I'm too loud. Sorry. Okay. Let's try to get through this. As he spoke, he went inside the buildings to the cloister where the suitors were. But Argos died as soon as he had recognized his master. Hi, Moonstar. Hello. Doing okay, how are you? Maybe Artax. Yeah, it's just his heart gave out. Telemachus saw Eumaeus long before anyone else did, and beckoned him to come and sit beside him. So he looked about and saw a seat lying near where the carvers sat, serving out their portions to the suitors. He picked it up, brought it to Telemachus's table, and sat down opposite him. Then the servant brought him his portion and gave him bread from the bread basket. Immediately afterwards, Odysseus came inside, looking like a poor, miserable old beggar, leaning on his staff with his clothes all in rags. He sat down upon the threshold of ashwood just inside the doors, leading from the outer to the inner court, and against a bearing post of cypress wood, which the carpenter had skillfully planed, and had made to join truly with rule and line. Telemachus took a whole loaf from the bread basket, with as much meat as he could hold in his 2 hands, and said to Eumaeus, "Take this to the stranger, and tell him to go the round of the suitors, and beg from them. A beggar must not be shamefaced." So Eumaeus went up to him and said, "Stranger, Telemachus sends you this, and says you are to go the round of the suitors begging, for beggars must not be shamefaced." Odysseus answered, "May King Zeus grant all happiness to Telemachus, and fulfill the desire of his heart." Then with both hands he took what Telemachus had sent him, and laid it on the dirty old wallet at his feet. He went on eating it while the bard was singing, and had just finished his dinner as he left off. The suitors applauded the bard, whereon Athena went up to Odysseus and prompted him to beg pieces of bread from each one of the suitors, that he might see what kind of people they were, and tell the good from the bad. But come what might, she was not going to save a single one of them. Odysseus, therefore, went on his round, going from left to right, and stretched out his hands to beg as though he were a real beggar. Some of them pitied him and were curious about him, asking one another who he was and where he came from, whereon the goatherd Melanthius said, "Suitors of my noble mistress, well, I can tell you something about him, for I have seen him before. The swineherd brought him here, but I know nothing about the man himself, nor where he comes from." On this, Antinous began to abuse the swineherd. "You precious idiot," he cried. "What have you brought this man to town for? Have we not tramps and beggars enough to pester us as we sit at meat? Do you think it is a small thing that such people gather here to waste your master's property? And must you needs bring this man as well?" That's bold, considering he's one of the people wasting things. And Eumaeus answered, "Antinous, your birth is good, but your words evil. It was no doing of mine that he came here. Who is likely to invite a stranger from a foreign country, unless it be one of those who can do public service as a seer, a healer of hurts, a carpenter, or a bard who can charm us with his singing? Well, such men are welcome all the world over, but no one is likely to ask a beggar who will only worry him. You are always harder on Odysseus's servants than any of the other suitors are, and above all on me. But I do not care so long as Telemachus and Penelope are alive and here." But Telemachus said, "Hush, do not answer him. Antinous has the bitterest tongue of all the suitors, and he makes the others worse." Then turning to Antinous, he said, "Antinous, you take as much care of my interests as though I were your son. Why should you want to see this stranger turned out of the house? Heaven forbid. Take something and give it him yourself. I do not grudge it. I bid you take it. Never mind my mother, nor any of the other servants in the house. But I know you will not do what I say, for you are more fond of eating things yourself than of giving them to other people." "What do you mean, Telemachus?" replied Antinous, "by this swaggering talk? Well, if all the suitors were to give him as much as I will, he would not come again here for another 3 months." As he spoke, he drew the stool on which he rested his dainty feet from under the table, and made as though he would throw it at Odysseus. But the other suitors all gave him something, and filled his wallet with bread and meat. He was about, therefore, to go back to the threshold and eat what the suitors had given him. But he first went up to Antinous and said, "Sir, give me something. You are not surely the poorest man here. You seem to be a chief, foremost among them all. Therefore you should be the better giver, and I will tell far and wide of your bounty. I too was a rich man once, and had a fine house of my own. In those days I gave to many a tramp such as I now am, no matter who he might be, nor what he wanted. I had any number of servants, and all the other things which people have who live well and are accounted wealthy. But it pleased Zeus to take all away from me. He sent me with a band of roving robbers to Egypt. It was a long voyage, and I was undone by it. I stationed my ships in the river Aegyptus, and bade my men stay by them and keep guard over them, while I sent out scouts to reconnoiter from every point of vantage. But the men disobeyed my orders, took to their own devices, and ravaged the land of the Egyptians, killing the men and taking their wives and children captives. The alarm was soon carried to the city, and when they heard the war cry, the people came out at daybreak till the plain was filled with soldiers, horse and foot, and with the gleam of armor. Then Zeus spread panic among my men, and they would no longer face the enemy, for they found themselves surrounded. The Egyptians killed many of us, and took the rest alive to do forced labor for them. As for myself, they gave me to a friend who met them, to take to Cyprus, Demeter by name, son of Iasus, who was a great man in Cyprus. Thence I am come hither, in a state of great misery. Aw, Fidge. Okay, thank you for everything, Fidge. Sleep well. Can you imagine, like, Antinous just standing there, just like, with that expression on his face, while this old beggar is just like telling him this story, and he's like, ugh, get out of here, you dirty beggar. Thence I am come hither in a state of great misery. Then Antinous said, what god could have sent such a pestilence to plague us during our dinner? Ugh, get out into the open part of the court, or I will give you Egypt and Cyprus over again for your insolence and importunity. You have begged all of the others, and they have given you lavishly, for they have abundance round them, and it is easy to be free with other people's property when there is plenty of it. On this Odysseus began to move off, and said, your looks, my fine sir, are better than your breeding. If you were in your own house, you would not spare a poor man so much as a pinch of salt. For though you are in another man's, and surrounded with abundance, you cannot find it in you to give him even a piece of bread. This made Antinous very angry, and he scowled at him, saying, you shall pay for this before you get clear of the court. With these words he threw a footstool at him, and hit him on the right shoulder blade, near the top of his back. Odysseus stood firm as a rock, and the blow did not even stagger him. But he shook his head in silence as he brooded on his revenge. Then he went back to the threshold and sat down there, laying his well-filled wallet at his feet. Listen to me, he cried, you suitors of Queen Penelope, that I may speak even as I am minded. A man knows neither ache nor pain if he gets hit while fighting for his money, or for his sheep, or his cattle. And even so, Antinous has hit me while in the service of my miserable belly, which is always getting people into trouble. Still, if the poor have gods, and avenging deities at all, I pray them that Antinous may come to a bad end before his marriage. Sit where you are, and eat your victuals in silence, or be off elsewhere, shouted Antinous. If you say more, I will have you dragged hand and foot through the courts, and the servants shall flay you alive. The other suitors were much displeased at this, and one of the young men said, Antinous, you did ill in striking that poor wretch of a tramp. It will be worse for you if he should turn out to be some god. We know the gods go about disguised in all sorts of ways as people from foreign countries, and travel about the world to see who do amiss and who do righteously. Yeah, this kid's smart. Like, Odysseus really is coming across as like that fairy tale archetype, you know? The gods do be fucking with people like that. Yeah. Sorry, my nose is all itchy. Okay. Thus said the suitors, but Antinous paid them no heed. Meanwhile, Telemachus was furious about the blow that had been given to his father, and though no tear fell from him, he shook his head in silence and brooded on his revenge. Now, when Penelope heard that the beggar had been struck in the banqueting cloister, she said before her maids, Would that Apollo would so strike you, Antinous! And her waiting woman, Eurynome, answered, If our prayers were answered, not one of the suitors would ever again see the sun rise. Wait, Eurynome's the old woman, right? Sorry. If our prayers were answered, not one of the suitors would ever again see the sun rise. Then Penelope said, Nurse, I hate every single one of them, for they mean nothing but mischief. Oh, but I hate Antinous like the darkness of death itself. A poor unfortunate tramp has come begging about the house for sheer want. Everyone else has given him something to put in his wallet, but Antinous has hit him on the right shoulder blade with a footstool. Thus did she talk with her maids as she sat in her own room, and in the meantime Odysseus was getting his dinner. Then she called for the swineherd and said, "Eumaeus, go and tell the stranger to come here. I want to see him and ask him some questions. He seems to have travelled much, and he may have seen or heard something of my unhappy husband." To this you answered, O swineherd Eumaeus, "Well, if these Achaeans, madam, would only keep quiet, you would be charmed with the history of his adventures. I had him 3 days and 3 nights with me in my hut, which was the first place he reached after running away from his ship, and he has not yet completed the story of his misfortunes. If he had been the most heaven-taught minstrel in the whole world, on whose lips all hearers hang entranced, I could not have been more charmed as I sat in my hut and listened to him. He says there is an old friendship between his house and that of Odysseus, and that he comes from Crete, where the descendants of Minos live, after having been driven hither and thither by every kind of misfortune." Queen Toasty? Queen Toasty, what the heck? Girl, what are you doing? What? My friend texted me earlier and told me you were talking about Granny Smith apple. Who's your friend? What? What? Who? We were talking about apples in general. It's been on T3 for, yeah, when are you gonna change that? Oh, Sapphire Pisces! We were arguing the best kinds of apples. Toasty, thank you. Oh my goodness. You guys, go follow Queen Toasty. Go follow Queen Toasty. Because, we might be seeing bits of her again. Oh, that came out wrong. You know what I mean. Not like naughty bits. Like, we might be seeing her in small doses. We might be seeing some crumbs. You threw up your spaghetti. No, girl. Oh. Oh dear. It's getting worse. No. Oh, man. Stop talking about, I'm sorry. Tucked myself into a corner and then decided to commit to it. Also, hi Zane and Swim over in the YouTube. Hello, hello. The concussion is getting better. The bits are... Okay, I don't know what bits we're talking about now, so I don't feel like I should comment on that. I'm sure your bits are beautiful. I've lost the plot. I've lost the plot. Toasty, if you're still here when we wrap up reading, obviously, you know, get me to give you a name trace or trigger or whatever you want. Why is no talking on cooldown? Because City made me shut up earlier. That was a long time ago, though. I don't know. Oh, it gets paused during reading, because you can't make me shut up during reading. That would just be fucked up. Igalves? Am I saying that right? Welcome in. Hello. Why do you want to make me stop talking for 2 minutes in the middle of a reading session? This is a rock? That's beautiful. Igalves. That's a beautiful rock. You'll be asleep, you'll enjoy every moment till I do so. Okay, Toasty. It's so good to see you. So good to see you. Everybody go follow the Toast Queen. Okay. We must be getting near the end of the chapter. Let's see. Okay. Alright, so this is the swineherd, Eumaeus, talking to Penelope. about the old beggar who is Odysseus in disguise, but Eumaeus doesn't know that. Only Telemachus knows that. So, okay. He says there is an old friendship between his house and that of Odysseus, and that he comes from Crete, where the descendants of Minos live, after having been driven hither and thither by every kind of misfortune. He also declares that he has heard of Odysseus as being alive, and near at hand among the Thesprotians, and that he is bringing great wealth home with him. "Call him here, then," said Penelope, "that I too may hear his story. As for the suitors, let them take their pleasure indoors or out as they will, for they have nothing to fret about. Their corn and wine remain unwasted in their houses, with none but servants to consume them. They keep hanging about our house day after day, sacrificing our oxen, sheep, and fat goats for their banquets, never giving so much as a thought to the quantity of wine they drink. No estate can stand such recklessness, for we have now no Odysseus to protect us. Oh, if he were to come again, he and his son would soon have their revenge." As she spoke, Telemachus sneezed so loudly that the whole house resounded with it. Penelope laughed when she heard this and said to Eumaeus, "Go and call the stranger. Did you not hear how my son sneezed, just as I was speaking? Well, this can only mean that all the suitors are going to be killed, and that not one of them shall escape. Furthermore, I say, and lay my saying to your heart, if I am satisfied that the stranger is speaking the truth, I shall give him a shirt and a cloak of good wear." Quinksy, thank you for the follow. I don't know if she's saying that because she's like, ooh, that's a sign of, like, even if it's an accidental sneeze, that's what it means, or if it's like a signal that they've like set up ahead of time. I don't know. When Eumaeus heard this, he went straight to Odysseus and said, "Father stranger, my mistress Penelope, mother of Telemachus, has sent for you, as she is in great grief, but she wishes to hear anything you can tell her about her husband. And if she is satisfied that you are speaking the truth, she will give you a shirt and cloak, which are the very things that you are most in want of. As for bread, you can get enough of that to fill your belly by begging about the town and letting those give that will." "I will tell Penelope," answered Odysseus, "nothing but what is strictly true. I know all about her husband, and have been partner with him in affliction. But I am afraid of passing through this crowd of cruel suitors, for their pride and insolence reach heaven. Just now, moreover, as I was going about the house without doing any harm, a man gave me a blow that hurt me very much, but neither Telemachus nor anyone else defended me. Tell Penelope, therefore, to be patient and wait till sundown. Let her give me a seat close up to the fire, for my clothes are worn very thin. You know they are, for you have seen them ever since I first asked you to help me. She can then ask me about the return of her husband." The swineherd went back when he heard this, and Penelope said, as she saw him cross the threshold, "Why do you not bring him here, Eumaeus? Is he afraid that someone will ill-treat him? Or is he shy of coming inside the house at all? Beggars should not be shamefaced." To this you answered, O swineherd Eumaeus, "The stranger is quite reasonable. He is avoiding the suitors, and is only doing what anyone else would do. He asks you to wait till sundown, and it will be much better, madam, that you should have him all to yourself, when you can hear him and talk to him as you will." "The man is no fool," answered Penelope. "It would very likely be as he says, for there are no such abominable people in the whole world as these men are." When she had done speaking, Eumaeus went back to the suitors, for he had explained everything. Then he went up to Telemachus and said in his ear, so that none could overhear him, "My dear sir, I will now go back to the pigs to see after your property and my own business. You will look to what is going on here, but Above all, be careful to keep out of danger. There are many who bear you ill will. May Zeus bring them to a bad end before they do us a mischief." "Very well," replied Telemachus. "Go home when you have had your dinner, and in the morning come here with the victims we are to sacrifice for the day. Leave the rest to heaven and me." On this Eumaeus took his seat again, and when he had finished his dinner, he left the courts and the cloister with the men at table and went back to his pigs. As for the suitors, they presently began to amuse themselves with singing and dancing, for it was now getting on towards evening. End of chapter. Have we read the 100 Acre Woods? We have read several Winnie the Pooh stories. Yes. Not all of them. Not all of them. Oof. Is Epic the musical worth? I don't know. So many people have mentioned it to me since we started reading the Odyssey, but I have not personally seen it. So. So. I am looking... Okay, so obviously I want to see what happens next. But we have been streaming for 3.5 hours. And I think the next chapter is a long one. And Tuesday nights we tend to usually not do as long of a stream because I also do an afternoon stream on Tuesdays. We already streamed for, I don't know, 2.5 hours earlier today. You did not fall asleep twice during the... Oh, Sean. Well, I hope you got some good snoozing in there. Yeah, I'm thinking we wrap up the YouTube stream. And what time does that start again? 3 p.m. Pacific time. Sometimes I'm a bit, a few minutes late, but I try to make it on time for 3 p.m. Pacific time. And then we usually go till around 5:30. And then I go offline. And then I'm back at 8 p.m. Pacific time on Twitch. And then I try to be live on YouTube for the reading portion around 9:15, 9:30 Pacific time. So, yeah. And yeah, often on other nights we might do longer streams as long as my spine isn't hurting too much. On Sunday we went for like 7 hours. But yeah, Tuesday nights are usually shorter. So let us wrap up on YouTube. Thank you to everyone who has been watching on YouTube. I really, really appreciate it. It genuinely helps so much. Even if you're like mainly watching on Twitch and chatting on Twitch, just like having the YouTube stream open, like lurking over there, genuinely helpful for building up the watch hours, which I need to be able to apply for the YouTube partner program. So yeah, really appreciate it. Also, if you want to drop a like after the stream ends and it becomes a VOD, that's really helpful. And, of course, if you have not subscribed to either or both of my YouTube channels, that would also be very, very, very helpful and so appreciated. As for when we will be back live on this YouTube channel, that would be Thursday evening, around the same time, around 9:15, 9:30 Pacific time. We should be live reading. Yeah. Yay! You just liked the YouTube live? Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We will continue on a short while longer on Twitch. Probably not more than half an hour. But I want to, do some name traces and triggers and wrap up and raid out and everything. So, yes, we will do that. Okay, so bye YouTube. Thank you everyone on YouTube, and I will see you in a couple days.